Ah, the 90s. A simpler time. Well, to an extent, I suppose. To some, the 90s hold all kinds of nostalgia, whether it be the amazing cartoons that came out during the time, or the video game franchises that came out during that era. Like Pokemon. The series pretty much grew in popularity with the help of the anime and even the trading card games, which is still being played and collected by fans of all ages to this day. And why is it so popular? Well, there are many reasons, I suppose. Some might like it for its RPG turn-based gameplay mechanics, as well as the monster collectathon you get to engage in. Some might like the different regions in which you explore, and some might just love the anime because Brock is funny as hell. A little creepy at times, but funny. Then of course there's the adorable pocket monsters. And with great monsters comes great opportunities to merchandise the ever-loving fudge out of the series.
These days everyone's trying to catch Nintendo's Pokemon. So catch a Pokemon beanbag for only $4.99 with any KFC meal. Catch all four. Better hurry up. I'm starting my own collection.
And let's not forget about Pokemon Go, which actually encourage people to go outside. I know, I'm as shocked as you are. Whatever the reasons may be for liking the series, the mainline series has been pretty confined to handheld systems. With the help of the Nintendo Switch and the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Pokemon franchise has kind of taken a switch into developing games for the home console market. Now, Sword and Shield got a bit of a mixed reception with fans and critics. Personally, I actually really liked the game. To be honest though, I didn't play Sword and Shield until late 2021, and before Sword and Shield, I hadn't played a Pokemon game since Diamond released on the DS, and I bought that at a Radio Shack. So, that should tell you how long it's been since I've actually touched a new Pokemon game. My point being is that since I haven't really kept up with the series, I actually don't know if Sword and Shield was some kind of downgrade to the franchise or not, because to me, it seemed like it hit all the right nostalgia marks, but also presented new ideas that I enjoyed. I don't know, let me know in the comments on your thoughts and opinions on Sword and Shield. So with Pokemon going towards more 3D releases, it's only natural for the franchise to experiment a little. That's why today on Loot and Junk Media, we're going to be taking a look at Pokemon Legends Arceus?
Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Arceus? Arceus. How do you say that? Pokemon Legends is a very, I would say, leap into something different with the series. Technically, it's kind of a spin-off, but the game offers a lot of mechanics and ideas that I kind of hope they shift into the next mainline game. Before we end this long intro, I do want to put a spoiler warning for this video. I'll be going over some major story points, but I won't do a play-by-play of the entire plot. I will be mentioning a bit about the post-game and some bosses you can face, so big spoiler alert on that one. So naturally, let's ready our Pokeballs, throw it at Parker because he's a loser, and begin. Surprisingly, I actually found myself quite invested in the story. For some parts at least. Other parts did kind of drag, especially towards the ending before the post-game. This story revolves around a rift in the space-time continuum, or space-time portal, or whatever the hell this thing is supposed to be. You play as a teenager who has been sent through the space-time rift by Jesus. Jesus sends you to either the past or some kind of multiverse. I really can't remember what was explained, nor did it weirdly seem important to the overall story. So anyway, you find yourself on a mysterious beach surrounded by the starter Pokemon you would get to choose from later on. You meet this strange old dude who's all like, "Hey kid, you want to help me capture and study these mysterious animals? In exchange, you can stay with me." You actually stay here at this house. But it's still kind of odd that this scientist guy is just willy-nilly recruiting children he's never met for his research. Naturally, you agree to help him and you end up joining the Galaxy Team Expedition Gang, team. This team is responsible for creating Jubilife Village, which is the main village you spent the entire game utilizing as a hub world. I know everything is going more towards open world these days, but boy do I miss a good old hub world. The Galaxy Team is pretty much the government of the town, and they do things like making sure peace is brought between the Diamond and Pearl clan, supplying goods and other accommodations for villagers so that they can have a fully functional economy and well living. And they make sure that the villagers are safe from Pokemon or other dangers. Then they have Professor Laviton's research and studying the Pokemon of the Hisui region. I kind of like how in this game you're not really a trainer. Instead, you're playing as a researcher studying Pokemon for science. I always kind of wish you could choose between different classes or occupations in the Pokemon world, because honestly, I would much rather roleplay as a scientist than a trainer. Although you don't just join the Galaxy Team right away. No. You first gotta prove your worth by going through a set of trials, which just acted like the tutorial for the game. If you fail the trials though, Sarah Connor over here is willing to just kick your ass straight out of the village. This is kind of harsh, but I kinda like that some people are standoffish of you throughout the entire game. Only because it kinda makes sense for people in a tight-knit group like the Galaxy Team to be standoffish towards outsiders. Especially if said outsider, with no backstory, fell from the mysterious rift hovering in the sky. And then said outsider just so happens to show up the same exact time all the Pokemon Guardians start to go frenzied. Yeah, I'm pretty suspicious of myself too. Also, I think you have amnesia. I was a bit confused as to why my character couldn't offer any bits of information about his own home world. I was also really baffled that he just seemed so content with not going home. Like, why? It's like if Marty McFly was just okay with staying in the 1950s rather than going back to the future. Very odd behavior. There is a post-game, so completing certain missions will help you unlock who Jesus really is. The main chunk of the story revolves around quelling frenzied guardian Pokemon. You see, throughout the Hisui region, these guardian Pokemon have been infected by a mysterious power and are kind of running wild. Naturally, it's up to you to do this job because, you know, you're the chosen one, or because plot logic. Unfortunately, quelling these frenzied Pokemon was kind of where I found myself not caring too much about. What I really liked about this game was the relationships characters had with one another. There's a lot of tension between everyone in the Hisui region. The Diamond clan does not really like the Pearl clan and vice versa. And it's all because these clans both worship the god Sinnoh differently, and they seem to not see eye to eye on how you're supposed to worship Sinnoh. Then you got the Galaxy Team who sailed here and straight up colonizes parts of the land, only to introduce newer methods and ideologies on how humans should handle Pokemon. Naturally, the game doesn't get too in-depth with the political aspects of each of these characters. I mean, it is a kid's game, we don't need to get too deep into this. But it does offer some interesting perspectives about how characters view Pokemon. This game takes place during a time when some people didn't really trust Pokemon. I mean, who would trust these things? This one has flames shooting out of its back. That's not safe. Moving on to gameplay, the thing that Pokemon Legends did really well is that they made capturing Pokemon fun. Like, I could spend hours doing this. Fun. I mean, it was always fun to catch monsters through a turn-based system, but instead of random encounters, you can see the Pokemon directly in front of you, and instead of engaging in battles with these creatures, you can just sneak attack them and capture them that way. Although that sounded a lot creepier saying that out loud. Pokemon Go was fun in the sense that you could throw the Pokeballs in real time, and Legends manages to capture that magic. I actually feel like I'm capturing these monsters because I'm actually aiming my Pokeballs and trying my best not to miss. The game gives you options on how to proceed in capturing the Pokemon. Some Pokemon can be easily captured, but others do require you to battle them a little in order to weaken their defenses. You are also able to craft and buy items that can help stun the Pokemon, or bait them with some food. Crafting systems are always a treat to have. Well, in some games. I personally don't think every modern game needs a crafting system, and it is a bit overdone, but crafting in this game fits the theme of exploring and surviving. My favorite part about gathering resources is that you can use your Pokemon to do things like gather berries and fruits from trees as well as mine ores. Not just that, but Pokemon can actually gather stuff from faraway areas, which is really fun to see. I generally like the idea that you can use your Pokemon to do things other than just battle. Now, if only one of these things could help me pay back my student loans, that would be nice. Although I do have a tad bit of a nitpick with every Pokemon being able to smash giant boulders. I mean, this makes no sense. The thing I absolutely detest about this game is how the game handles leveling up and grinding. It sucks. Like, really sucks. If you go into this game thinking leveling up will be like the original Pokemon or like any other RPG, then you're going to be a bit disappointed. In a normal JRPG or any RPG, after you spend a couple hours grinding and leveling up, your stats will eventually increase, making your character feel stronger and able to take more damage. In this game, leveling up doesn't actually do that. Yeah, your stats do increase, but spending hours grinding and leveling up doesn't actually make your Pokemon feel any stronger. So just because your Pokemon is at a higher level doesn't mean it won't get its ass handed to them by a lesser level Pokemon. In order to actually make some difference in combat, you have to use these grit items. You got grit dust, grit pebbles, grit rocks, and so on. You use these items to increase your grit stats that will help increase your regular stats. For example, when you increase your grit defense, you also increase your normal defense stats. Now, I really hate this because of how unnecessary this feature feels. I mean, what was wrong with a normal leveling up system? If leveling up didn't evolve your Pokemon, then the leveling up system would be completely pointless in this game. Because why battle to increase your attack stats when you could just find a way to spam harvest grit items? Which you can do so by capturing a bunch of Pokemon, then releasing them, and then bam, you got yourself a bunch of grit items. I guess I shouldn't complain too much about this. I mean, it is an easier way to make your party stronger, but personally, I just was a little disappointed that the developers decided to dumb down the RPG mechanics, but that's fine, I suppose. What I really love about the combat in this game is that you have the ability to move your character around and command your Pokemon from a distance or close up. I also kind of like how you can personally get hit by attacks. Idiot. Given that the battle stats are a bit wonky, combat feels quick and usually ends after 3 or 5 moves from you or your opponent. This can be a good thing if you want a quick battle, but it also can be a bad thing when your opponent is given 2 turns in a row and they spend both turns hitting you with an attack that wipes out your entire HP. Pure frustration. Now, the town itself in Legends is probably my favorite part of the game. I love open world games, but I kind of prefer games that all revolve around one town because if done right, the town will evolve over time. And that, to me at least, keeps me motivated when playing. Just because I want to see how big of a change there is from the time I start the game to the time I finish. Plus, some open worlds can be empty and even boring. I need more interactions with my environment, otherwise why bother playing an open world game? I love how the town in Legends does change. As you can see, there's construction going on. At first the construction might start out looking like this, but eventually it'll change to this, and then finally to this. I will note that these buildings can be a tad pointless as they generally just serve as random storage buildings for the town, nothing really relevant to you as the player. However, you can upgrade the small farm in the village. Over time, the farmers will ask you to help catch them Pokemon of a certain type that can be used to help destroy rocks or dig more fields. And by upgrading the farm, you can grow a buttload of useful medical plants and even apricorns. Also, over time, newer villagers will come live in the town, which will unlock newer shops that sell useful items. I kind of wish though that Game Freak really went full Harvest Moon with this town, because it would have been cool to have time-specific events like festivals or even some community gatherings. I also wish some of these villagers had more personalities to them rather than being stereotypical NPCs. You know, always asking for stuff and never having any thought or opinion of their own. A bunch of needy assholes, if you ask me. Besides exploring the town, the game divides the Hisui region into different areas you can explore. I love how open these environments feel, and I love how every corner is filled with different species of Pokemon. I will note to you all that when it comes to evaluating graphics on the show, I kind of don't care, to an extent at least. I don't mind outdated graphics, but I do note when something looks outdated in comparison to current releases with stellar looking graphics. In general, I don't really allow quote unquote bad looking or outdated graphics to deter me from playing a game. However, I have seen a lot of criticism of Pokemon Legends in terms of things like textures, and I generally agree that some of the textures of rocks and even the ground do kind of look bad, but I really didn't notice this until other people started pointing it out to me. So honestly, it doesn't bother me enough to think this game looks like crap. This world is pretty colorful, and I love watching the day and night cycle when I'm wandering around the fields, especially when it hits sundown. I mean, look at that lighting. It's so peaceful. That and everything we see really fits the anime style that they're trying to utilize. Everything is on brand and looks very Pokemon-like. One thing that I really wish the developers did improve on was some of the missions and quests. The story quest becomes pretty repetitive as your main goal is just to defeat frenzied Pokemon. I kind of wish they shook up the gameplay when dealing with a frenzied Pokemon, because it seems like all you do is throw a sack of something at them, battle them, and repeat until they stop turning Super Saiyan. It was interesting at first, but I feel like they could have shaken some things up a bit. Maybe make each frenzied Pokemon have its own unique minigame? I don't know, something like that. Although I like how the Galaxy team are just okay with a 15-year-old handling these monstrosities, yet they still have some doubts about you. I guess in their mind they see you as expendable, so no real loss if you die, right? I did enjoy the battle between Electroid, and I thought it was pretty cool, visually. This thing was a pain in the ass, but I kinda dug how grand this battle was supposed to feel. My favorite thing about the end of major story missions was that after quelling a frenzied Pokemon, you're greeted with these mission wrap-up cutscenes. Professor Laventon, you, and Akari, or this guy depending on if you're playing as a girl, all share a meal together and go over a bit of what's been going on with the plot. I really like seeing the bond all three of these characters develop throughout these cutscenes, and it does make these three seem like a team rather than just co-workers. Plus, I love how Akari just straight up stink eyes the professor on some occasions. This kid gets it. The side quests can range from, oh, that's interesting, to, oh, another fetch quest? Yay. You do things like find X amount of ingredients for Y person, or X species of Pokemon for Z person. You know, stuff like that. Catching Pokemon for villagers can result in some interesting development. For instance, catching any Pokemon for any villager usually results with that Pokemon staying permanently in town. And in the case of catching a Wurmple for one of these guards, the Wurmple over time will actually evolve into a Cascoon, which was kind of cool to watch. I like that development because it makes the world seem realistic, and it shows your actions do have some consequences to the town, because you don't actually have to catch any Pokemon for anyone. But the fact that you did do that and it resulted in some of them sticking around town is kind of cool. This kind of goes along with what I said about the town evolving. It just makes everything feel alive and that you're not just running around an empty hub world. Again, to reiterate my point earlier, I do wish they could have pushed the town mechanics just a bit further with something more interactive. Given your goal is to capture and study Pokemon, capturing one Pokemon alone won't fulfill its entry in your Pokédex. Each Pokemon Pokemon you encounter has a specific entry goal you must fulfill to complete the entry for that Pokemon. These goals might be stuff like giving food 6 times to an Eevee, or capturing a Ghastly at night, or even witnessing Monferno's Flamethrower attack will be expected of you to complete its Pokédex entry. This can be really addicting, especially if you're a completionist. Each goals you complete will reward you with experience points that will help level up your ranking. These star rankings pretty much act like gym badges in a way, and they allow you to capture higher level Pokemon as well as unlock items to craft. Overall, I generally enjoyed Pokemon Legends Arceus, but I can't overlook how repetitive the game can get. This game feels like it could have been more. It had a lot of unique ideas and could have really taken those ideas a bit further. Honestly, I would buy another Pokemon game if it featured a catching system like this, but I can't deny that I really hated the combat. It had a weird balance and featured a lot of cheap difficulty. Honestly, if Game Freak just kept the classic RPG leveling system and combat, then combined this kind of Pokemon catching, that would honestly be the perfect Pokemon game for me. Not to mention, I really love moving around during battles. Also, I hope going forward they continue to use this type of camera perspective, that and the scaling of Pokemon to human heights. Given that these things are monsters, I like how some of them are actually sized like monsters. Thanks as always for sticking around till the end. I know I keep ending my videos with that line, but I really do appreciate you all for watching my entire video. Your support is really what makes this show great, so thank you for watching. Also, let me know what you guys thought about Pokemon Legends. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you rage quit any particular post-game battle? Are you planning on playing it? Whatever your thoughts or opinions on the game, or even on the show, let me know in the comments below. As always, have a good one, folks, and remember to bring a bigger bag when you're capturing and studying Pokemon. Otherwise, you're gonna have to pay this asshole to teach you how to minimize spacing for packing a freaking fanny pack.